Welcome to episode 279 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, manga, comic book, audio fiction, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined as always by Kyle Springer.
Good morning, Melissa. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. It's been I've been able to watch a movie every single night for the past week. It feels good.
That's kind of cool, right? Are you crossing stuff off that you've had on like your list of like I've been meaning to get to that one? Or
somewhat, yeah. I'm continuing with the David Fincher series on Blank Check. So I watched Gone Girl this week. It's got two of my favorite things in it. It's set in St. Louis and also features Scoot McNairy in one scene. Like, you've got me. This is now on my list of favorite films.
Scoot's here. It's gold.
Right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I've been slowly catching up on TV shows and stuff like that. I recently started season 3 of Superman and Lois. Which has been good so far. Just started rewatching Loki with my partner because she hadn't seen season 2 yet. So we just watched episode 4 last night. So we got 2 more episodes to go on that. We also just started rewatching After Party season 1 from Apple TV, which we did an episode on here on the review show, but it's been a while since I watched that, and I know season 2 is out and has been out for a little while.
Yeah.
And I was like, we both like this show. Let's just watch this. So catching up on that stuff. It's been good. I'm glad.
That's nice.
Glad you're also catching up on stuff. It's good. It's fun. Melissa, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about the 2018, 2019. I think it came out in like festivals in 2018, but it wasn't actually released to the public until 2019. A weird little movie called Under the Silver Lake.
Yes.
This came into our show because it's your birthday coming up next weekend. And Under the Silver Lake is a movie that friend of the show, Jack, and I watched earlier this year. And we're like, this is a Kyle ass movie. This appeals to your love of crime stories, of neo-noirs, of having little puzzles to solve. So just for your birthday, I presented you with this. We are watching Under the Silver Lake.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remembered you guys mentioning it earlier in the year that you guys had just watched some movie. Kyle would love it, all of this stuff. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'm excited for whatever that is. I knew you were going to be doing it soon. I didn't know exactly when. And so last week when you were just like, here we go. Here it is. This is the movie. I was like, oh, sweet. This is it. Cool. And you warned me, hey, watch this earlier in the week so that you have time afterwards to kind of go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and look at YouTube videos, look at film analyses and stuff like that. Because there is a lot of that stuff that you can pull out of this. I tried my best to do that. You sent me a few links of ones that you had watched. I did manage to watch those YouTube videos. There's some mind-blowing stuff in that I never in a million years would have thought of or known to suss out. This, if you want like a red string conspiracy mystery board thing, this is the movie to do that on. And I'll say it, I think it's almost best if you go in knowing nothing about the movie. It's okay to know a basic synopsis if you want, but I feel like it's good enough to just, you know what, just go in knowing nothing, and I think you'll have a blast.
I don't think it's necessarily a massive twist movie, But just from scene to scene, the weird journey it takes is it's really
bizarre.
fun ride to go on, not knowing what you're in store for.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I think it wears its heart on its sleeve in terms of influences from all the movie posters in the background to scenes that's like, okay, this is definitely giving me like an Eyes Wide Shut vibe, or like Alfred Hitchcock, Rear Window, Vertigo. To even stuff that I didn't see those YouTube videos mention. There's one scene where he's following some girls and they go under this tunnel. Reminds me of this one scene from Gattaca where they go under, I think, that same tunnel, if I'm not mistaken. Though in Gattaca, it ends up being something else entirely, where he's like losing his vision and he can't see and everything is blurry and it's just stuff like that. It's fantastic. But yeah, has a lot of influences and I think it references a bunch of stuff. I know we haven't even said what the film is about yet, but it's such an interesting film because I think on one hand, there are so many puzzles to solve. There's so many references and Easter eggs and all of that. And on the other hand, I think it's also a film kind of poking fun at that culture, even though it has all of that stuff. Like it feels like something new rock stars would have to do a like, does he know? Thing, right? Like it feels like that, and it feels like they're commenting on that culture and looking to find patterns and hidden meanings where there really aren't any, or you can kind of make up your own meaning. And it's like, well, I guess that works if you think about it that way, but it's not really what it meant and stuff like that. But it's absolutely fascinating. I think it was a great movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, good. I'm happy you enjoyed it. This is my second time watching it this year. Second time watching all those YouTube videos I sent you. I love that this movie is so dense that you can come at it with these different interpretations, look at it from different angles. Whether you want to go real deep or you just want to look at it on the surface, like look at goofy Andrew Garfield jumping around. Anything you want is here. If you just want a bunch of weird LA hipster tableaus, this is the film for you. Yeah,
you want a decent crime noir? It's here. You want a movie that kind of has like indie film, like B movie, indie film kind of schlockiness to it? It's here, right? They have it all. They have it all. So yeah, let's do like basic plot synopsis for people out there who might want to know a little bit about it before going in.
Sure. Andrew Garfield plays Sam, who is this slacker who seemingly has no job or no source of income, who just sort of bums around his apartment all day. And one day out at the apartment pool, he sees this beautiful girl named Sarah. And he goes over to her apartment, hangs out with her for a night. And the next day, he finds that she's gone. Her apartment is completely cleaned out. There's no sign of her and her roommates. And he's like, I just saw her like 12 hours ago. She didn't mention any of this. And he starts to wonder, was she kidnapped? Was she murdered? Did something terrible happen to her? And he just tries to pursue every lead he can in trying to find her. And he does stumble across a series of weird characters following codes and patterns. And he's trying to decode those and follow the steps and see if he can get to Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a blast with this. I think it has, like we kind of already mentioned, it has a little bit of everything in there. This really does feel like an A24 movie. In the sense that they tend to do these like independent movies that are like very stylized or have just this unique vision in their cinematography. It's a blast. It's a good crime noir. If you want to check that stuff out, there's some I don't want to say good detective work, but there is detective work in this, right?
It is the single most bumbling and inept detective work, but he does get to where he needs to go in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you can tell this movie is filled with a love of pop culture and cinema, as well as like television and like the smaller silver screen.
LA history.
Yeah, all of that stuff. And then there's like weird scenes where Andrew Garfield gets sprayed by a skunk and he just smells for the rest of the movie, and everyone comments on it.
You can't forget that he smells like a skunk for like an hour and a half of the time you were watching this film.
Yeah, there's like weird art performances, drunken escapades. There's a weird scene where Andrew Garfield dances in this underground crypt club, and it's just there's so much in this that at the very least you'll be confused and baffled in a way that like I'm watching a train wreck and I don't know what this is. Like I'm just fascinated.
Yeah.
But on the like the best possible thing is like you get into the mysteries of this and are fascinated just by just how deep all of this can go here.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow, this was excellently crafted and put together so specifically.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't feel like it has a high barrier to entry either. Like I said, this is not like a twisty mindfuck of a movie. If you just want like a weird time, you can have it. Like you can approach it at different levels of depth.
Yeah. Like last week here on the show, we watched Ingmar Bergman's Persona.
Yeah,
which also not super twisty, but there is some like mind fuckery.
Yeah, the biggest twist in that movie is like woman drops glass, other woman steps on glass.
Right. Yeah. But like we were mentioning that even though it feels more like this art house film, it also feels very accessible. Right. It was a short runtime. It's not super avant-garde or super up its own ass in some
It's very avant-garde for certain stretches, then other stretches are beach vacation.
Yeah. But this almost feels just at like I feel like Persona feels more of an art house film compared to this. Like this stylizes itself like a pretty normal movie, if that makes sense. Whereas Persona is like it's all in black and white. They're experimenting with cinematography. It feels more like an art house film than this, even though I would probably say this is also an art house film, or at least more for that crowd. But I had a blast. It was good. It was fun.
I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I don't know if I have much more to say that's like spoiler free, because there's just so much to dive into with all of these puzzles. And even saying diving down the rabbit hole is kind of a reference to what's happening in the film here too. So we will be right back. We will take a quick break for housekeeping. So stay tuned. Here at the Whatnauts, we make multiple different shows, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. If you enjoy our shows, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to show your support. For just $1 a month, you can get early access to episodes, and at our $3 tier, a Patreon-exclusive podcast, The Pilots Club. You can even get a shout out and thank you on most of our shows at the $5 tier. And if you're one of our patrons already, thank you so much. It means the world to us. You can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in The Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch for video versions of the shows, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, we have merch. if you want to grab yourself a shirt or a hoodie or a mug or something else, head over to the whatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot.
Thank you.
Right here on the Pilots Club, I guess not right here because this is not the Pilots Club, but on the Pilots Club, our Patreon exclusive podcast for the month of November 2023, we got to watch the pilot episode of Manifest. This was a television show that ran for 4 seasons, the 3 of which were on NBC, and then the 4th and final one on Netflix. It is about a plane that takes off from Jamaica and lands in New York to find out that somewhere in the air they lost 5.5 years worth of time. And the world kind of moved on without them. And so it's about them figuring out the mystery of what happened, reconnecting with their relationships. And yeah, we had an interesting discussion on that first episode of that show. And discussing if it worked or did not work as a pilot, and what we may or may not have connected to. So go check out Manifest over on the Pilots Club. Of course, right here on the review show, I already mentioned Ingmar Bergman's Persona, which is about a nurse and her patient who is an actress who suddenly stopped speaking. And so they retreat to a beach house to kind of rest and recuperate and kind of figure out what's up with the actress here. Not everything is as it seems in that movie. I will say that. We had a blast with that one too, I think. So there you go. Over on the Captain's Log, we ended up skipping this past week. I was not feeling too great this past week, so apologies on that, but we will be back for this next week. And last but not least, over on the Reactor Core, we now have our reactions for the finale of Loki, as well as the Marvels up. So go check out our discussions on that. If you want us actually looking into all the Easter eggs of all that's right, you know, we kind of talk about some of that stuff over there for all the Marvel stuff. So good stuff. Okay, I think that is it for housekeeping, though. So let's get into spoilers for Under the Silver Lake. I knew from the get-go when it flashed those symbols up. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
it's that kind of movie from second
one. And there's one of the video essays I sent you also pointed out how many little Easter eggs and clues are in the movie poster as well.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. But yeah, that's also brilliant that there's just all these little hidden symbols and stuff like that. I tried to go into this movie knowing that there would be rabbit holes I could go down, but also not trying to get caught up in any of them as I watched it. Because I am listening to another podcast called Shelved by Genre, and they are discussing some books that I have not read. I am not reading along with them. I just like to hear them have a discussion. And the book they're reading, I forget it's like Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, I believe. Seems to also be a book that has puzzles and mysteries and metaphors within metaphors, all of that stuff. And one of the things that they had mentioned in that podcast is like, hey, don't necessarily go into this book trying to solve it. You probably won't. And that's kind of the approach that I took with this. Like, I'm not trying to solve it in this. Let me just watch it and take it in, and then afterwards go down the rabbit hole. But there's certain things that like you just can't help but notice, like those symbols at the start, and then the same symbols on people's shirts. It's like, okay, I know there's some kind of code or message in that, but I don't know what it means or how it affects the film here. I think also another good example of that is the dog killer. It's
Mm-hmm.
a mystery that's happening.
Yeah,
right? But
you don't know for sure. It's never textually revealed.
Yeah.
In the film itself, and it's not something our main character seems to have any interest in looking into. It's just happening parallel to his own journey, and it doesn't concern him unless you look at the movie and believe that he is the dog killer.
Yeah.
Did you think that?
Signs certainly point to that. It's absolutely believable. Especially like knowing his history, that he got bit by a dog when he was younger and he's scared of them. But then like there's also when his actress friend first comes to his house, she remarks like, what's that smell? And I think it's before he got sprayed by the skunk. So I was even wondering, like, does he have an animal like in the freezer or something? Like, is there something that like we just don't know? And right. But yeah, there's certainly signs that point to him being the dog killer.
For me, it's when he goes up to Sarah's dog and without planning that he is going to run into the dog, and he pulls a dog treat out of his pocket. Like, where did you get that? Right. Even if you did see this girl you think is cute with the dog and you're like, oh, it would be a nice way to get to meet her if I made friends with the dog, so I'll pack a dog treat. Like, why did you have them? Are they in your apartment already? From when? From that breakup? How long ago was that breakup with the other girl who had the dog? Like, it's such a stretch of reason to imagine. Like, this guy he doesn't seem like he's on top of things. If he had some dog treats because he dated a girl who had a dog 2 years ago and just never got rid of those and didn't think, does this expire? Should I throw these out? Is it safe for me to feed these to a new dog? I bet he doesn't. But that is the one thing that feels so odd to me. That he just has this when convenient.
Yeah. And I think to add to him being the dog killer, like I think at the end of the movie when he's talking to, I believe, the homeless king, and he's like, I just wouldn't go back to the time where I could like pet the dog and be happy. Like I think he is trying to find some kind of connection or deal with some kind of trauma, not only about being bitten, but in his life. He's not happy with where he is in life. And I think this is a way for him to take out that stress, unfortunately, right? By killing these dogs, by like having by like having power over this symbol of his childhood. I don't know, or confronting it and to see if they attack him, and if they do, he kills them or something. I don't know. It's so weird.
I am single. I am on a dating app, and I can't tell you how many guys on Bumble have, I know you're just dating me to get at my dog or something like that in their profile. Or like, you know, come for the puppies, hope you stay for me or whatever. It's so dog forward. Like, I am not marrying your dog. I would like to marry you. That's what I am here for. I could take or leave a dog. There's a lot to be said about the view of women in this movie and Sam's relationship with women and using them as a means to an end. But I think that's also his relationship with dogs. I don't think he likes dogs. He just knows that if he's friendly to dogs, that will endear him to a cute girl who has a dog. He does not care about them. It's just one step after another to get to sex at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, so yeah, we from the jump we get mysteries. We get mysteries that go unsolved. I just absolutely from the get-go, you see all these like movie posters in his apartment. We have one in our garage that's very similar. It's the creature from the Black Lagoon, like those old like 50s style movie posters. Stuff like that. Of course, I have like Into the
Right.
Spider-Verse and Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over here off camera and Akira over here off camera, right?
I've got the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie and Gremlins 2, the new batch in my living room. I have a giant poster for the movie Treasure Planet. I can't wait to get for several decades into the future where this is like the end of this is like the really obscure movie pull. The way that we don't know what every old movie he has the vintage poster for on his wall. Decades from now, it'll be like, what is this lost piece of art? Treasure Planet.
I mean, it already kind of is. Like, Disney certainly tried to. It's like, that's not gonna work. It's so good. But yeah, like I like that touch because I feel like it says a lot about him and what he's into without him having to say that. You get the sense that he's here in Hollywood to be a part of that culture, to not only learn more about it and be around it, but be a part of it. It seems like he's a musician of sorts and wants to make it big as a musician or an actor or something.
This is the thing. There is no indication of what it is Sam does or has done or wants to do with his life. You see this stuff around his apartment. You see that he has a guitar. You see that he has this poster of Kurt Cobain and looks up to this musician, but it is not clear at all if a musician is what he is or has been or wants to be. He seems to have zero aspirations and like zero past, zero context there in the city. And when his landlord is after him, trying to get him to pay his rent, he seems to not care. He does not take a single action towards acquiring a job and or money or doing anything to avoid getting kicked out of his apartment. He's so singularly focused on Sarah in the time when we see him. But it's also like, well, what were you doing in the months before this? This isn't a new problem. This must be part of a long string of events. He's such a mystery, and it really does lend to the sense that this guy has another life. There's stuff he's not telling us. Maybe he's murdering dogs in just the time when the camera is not pointed at him.
You never know. Yeah. But yeah, he quickly gets involved in this thing that he wraps his attention around, this mystery of this vanished girl. And pretty immediately is like following those three girls the next day, which I those weren't the girls that were living there. It was the ones that showed up. Like,
I think I think her roommates are the girls who are with her in the bunker at the end of the movie, and these are three other girls who must belong to some other billionaire. And then there's that pirate who's also never explained. There just is a pirate in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like following them down the street, and that I feel like is where it feels it's most crime noir, right? He is being the detective, being the gumshoe, but just kind of immediately falling. I mean, he's falling down the rabbit hole. I was about to say following the wrong leads, which he kind of is on one hand, but also stumbles upon this big old conspiracy. But here's why I keep mentioning that phrase, following down the rabbit hole. The type of car they're in is a rabbit. They're in a white rabbit, and it like he's following the white rabbit, like from the Matrix, from Alice in Wonderland, right? It is falling down the rabbit hole. And yeah, he sees this like symbol of these two diamonds. It almost looks like a domino mask from like a superhero thing. He's also into comics. He has that Spider-Man issue, and
yes,
does
his
the thing
hand
where it gets
sticks
stuck.
to a Spider-Man comic. There's this in a movie that is about taking a closer look at pop culture and what its messages may be, both in terms of its thematic life lessons and if there's any secret Easter eggs hidden in there. It is interesting that we cast a guy who is well known for playing a superhero that does take note of his superhero persona. He does even encounter another Spider-Man villain. Topher Grace just appears in this movie.
Yeah.
So you get to see one Spider-Man talking to another Spider-Man's villain, if that's something that delights you.
Yeah. And it like they're also kind of commenting on how disillusioned he was, like as an actor. Andrew Garfield, from what I understand, was fairly upset that like didn't get to continue playing Spider-Man, and so here he is, this like disheveled Andrew Garfield, just life in shambles, right? Just being like, oh, the Spider-Man, come and get that away, right? Yeah, and so it's just like there's interesting nods to things like that in the film. Just the way, even I mentioned it wearing its references on its sleeve, right? When he's being the detective following those girls, it feels a lot like Vertigo, where he's in the car following the other people. Right. When he gets to the movie that's happening just out on like the cemetery lawn, the actresses and that pirate, or no, not the pirate dude. Is he with them right there on that scene? The pirate guy, or is it someone else?
I think he might be.
Well, they're standing on a grave, and as they move, you see the name, and it's Hitchcock, right? It's stuff like that. It's just the fact that when he's seeing the girl, when he's seeing Sarah in the pool, she's doing the thing from the Marilyn Monroe thing where she sticks her leg up on the end of the pool,
which is not even a Marilyn Monroe movie that was finished. That was like one of the last things she was in the middle of filming when she died. So that's not even a film that could have been released. They never finished it.
Yeah, but it's
so like
still
the fact
like
that it's
a famous like unfinished like piece of history. Yeah, right.
You still even if you don't literally recognize it, this feels familiar. It does feel like this is an homage to something from, like, you get the era, you still get the vibe of it, even if it is footage that has only existed in like maybe tape trading or clips of it in some like A&E biography special.
Yeah. Even when he gets to one of the parties later on, like the obvious reference is Eyes Wide Shut, as he thinks he's in this like secret society party, and just doesn't like it feels like the culture that he kind of wants to be a part of. But again, like when we keep saying, Sam is such a mystery. We don't know exactly what he wants, right? But he's in LA. I guess.
His mom calls him and mentions mailing him a tape of a movie she wants him to see. So all we know is that his mom is at least not convenient driving distance away. That's the one clue to indicate he's a transplant there, but a transplant from where? Yeah. Why did he move here?
Hollywood hopeful, but Hollywood more in the like culture sense.
Yeah. He's like
excuse me.
Less that he wants to be an actor or a musician, or maybe that he just wants to be a cool guy who's around at parties, like his friend who's wearing the women's blouse.
Right. Yeah. And it feels like when he gets to this party, which should be the culture that he's trying to get into, right? He feels kind of lost. He looks lost. Yeah. He's a lot more disheveled. However, I love the one thing where he walks in. I think it's a party later on in the movie. He walks in. He's just in a plain white T-shirt. And there's that one girl who's like, "Hey, I like your shirt." And it's just like,
I love that.
What?
I love that this movie is just weird party after weird party. That's my favorite genre of movie, is just you're hopping from one sort of odd, almost unsettling location to another. And this movie is great at that. He goes to practically no normal places.
Yeah.
where normal things happen.
Yeah.
I like when he goes, not even talking about the purgatory party where Jesus and the Brides of Dracula are playing, but like the girl, and when he's at that party, the girl gives him a cookie, like a frosted sugar cookie with the number like 76 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, this is your ticket to get into my secret summertime show tomorrow. You have to bring this entire cookie with you. You can't have a crumb missing. It's like not even in a bag. It's just, here's a cookie. Save this for 24 hours. And then he goes to that party, which is inside a crypt. Or not a mausoleum. Later he goes to a crypt. And the guard checks his cookie and then is like, you have to eat some of it in order for me to let you in. And so Andrew Garfield shoves this entire cookie into his mouth. And then later he starts tripping and they're like, oh, that cookie was laced with LSD. I'm like, what is the chain of events here? So a cookie is a ticket. Hold on to the cookie. Keep it safe. Don't eat any of it. You just have the stale cookie sitting out unless you bag it yourself. You bring it to the party. You have to eat some of it, but not all of it, because it seems bad that he eats all of it. So I'm like, why? If you can't eat all the cookie, why give somebody a whole cookie? Like, put less drugs in it or make a smaller cookie. Or make it like a paper ticket that has like a little LSD tab on it, and then you put a paper ticket in your mouth.
It's baffling.
Even
the
stuff that is
baffling.
Even stuff at the absolute periphery of what's happening that is zero plot relevance, does not involve any major named character, is still such a puzzle.
Right. I even think about how odd it is that one of the parties he goes to is a chess party.
I like the chess party. That seems fun.
Sure, but it's just not something you think about very often. Like, guys, let's have a chess party. Let's all just play
like,
chess. Lots of chess.
Cool hipsters who want to see and be seen. And I think that is stated as the exact purpose of the party, that some guy just likes to have folks around. He needs a reason to have folks around. So he's like, well, I'll start a chess club. And like, you know, every couple of weeks I have a garden party where I set out all these tiny little 2-person tables around my giant pool, and just like hot people come here to play chess at each other.
It's so weird. It's so odd. Everything is so strange. I mean, we can go on and on about how everything is strange.
Yeah.
But he ends up vaguely solving the mystery of what happened to Sarah, realizing that she was with this millionaire who had been reported missing earlier in the film. Supposedly.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when Ricky Lindholm comes over. She and him are like friends with benefits. It's not clear. And the two of them are having sex and the TV is on, and it's on the news report about this millionaire being in an accident and going missing. And they're like still having sex while they turn and look at the TV like, oh, that's so sad. That guy must have a family. And they are still like orgasming as this woman on TV is like, please bring daddy home.
It intensifies as that news bit comes on. They start fucking harder. They like, and that's when they reach climax.
Bring daddy home.
Which, right, yeah. Does that say something about the makers of this film? What they think of millionaires? They like it when like there's no more of them and they die. Who knows? Why not? But yeah, it's such an odd scene. But later on, that millionaire who was reported missing, they say like, oh, he died in a car accident, explosion, fire thing, and he was with these three. He was with these three girls, and he knows that Sarah was with them because on TV he sees the hat that she had, at least in that like Polaroid picture that he has of her. So he's vaguely solved that, but he knows that like there's still more to this that I can find out. And I just to skip ahead a little bit, by the end of this, he uncovers this conspiracy of the rich elite who believe in a kind of ascendance, an afterlife made just for them, where they can take 3 young women of their choosing and they will become kings, right, in their, and it's just some weird bullshit of who knows what, but Sarah is still alive. She just recently got locked in the tomb with this guy, and is just like, well, this is my fate. Like, I'm just gonna have to make the best of it. We're just gonna binge watch all of Leave It to Beaver, and I think that's it.
Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith. Just eat casseroles until we have sex and then die from something.
Yeah. Who knows? Die of starvation or lack of oxygen. Who knows? But yeah, it's this weird kind of Illuminati conspiracy theory from like weird Hollywood parties, messages in the music, the ciphers that they figure out.
I love when Sam is trying to untangle the cipher in the song Turning Teeth, and he's writing the lyrics down on a pizza box when there is a notebook within arm's reach. It reminds me so much of the scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 when Peter Parker is trying to solve the mystery of his parents' death, and he Googles, what is Roosevelt? And he finds that underground, like, abandoned subway station. He also has a whole, like, conspiracy board in that, but part of it is that he takes this framed photo of himself and his parents, and he tapes it to the wall. It's a framed photo. You put a nail in the wall, you hang up the frame. He just takes a bunch of electrical tape and tapes the frame to the wall.
He hasn't nailed it yet. Until he nails the mystery, he can't nail the picture.
Cannot use nails. It is verboten.
Yeah. Little did you know, spiders are allergic to nails. So his spider powers have his one true weakness.
Right, I'm sticky. I relate to the sticky stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I use tape for everything.
Me and masking tape, one and the same. So I mean, this journey leads him all over. I think one of my favorite bits is when he solves that cipher, and it's like, rub Dean and wait under Newton. And he's just like, what does that mean? And then he goes to the observatory and has to like rub the statue of James Dean and then wait under Newton's statue. And then after 10 or 15 minutes, here comes the homeless king, right? And he's just like, I saw you rubbing that statue. And like in any
come with me
scenario, that would be like creepy as fuck. Like, I saw you rubbing that statue, right? Just like, what is going on? But he's completely all in. He's just like, yes, lead me wherever I need to go. He finds this bunker underground with this entrance way that looks like this Egyptian tomb. Man, just all sorts of just
but after that he goes
one final thing on that. Most of it just feels non sequitur. It feels like it feels like it's a movie made by Mad Libs. Which is, I think, what I was kind of getting at when I was like, I think this movie is also kind of poking fun at the, like, let's find all the references, the Easter eggs, the hidden meanings. Like, it seems to be kind of pointing to the ridiculousness of of that, or at least the more like serious version of that. Like, hey, if you play this song backwards, like there's satanic messages in that, right? And it's not like, well, you can see this license plate says ASM 29, which is Amazing Spider-Man 29, the issue in which, right? It's not that exactly, but I think you get what I'm getting at.
He in that scene, he's led through a bunker that is not set up yet. It's like a bunker that the guy he meets at the end of the movie is going to move into, I think. Which is, it's not only weird seeing the finished bunker that Sarah's in, but it's frightfully mundane seeing the beginnings of a bunker that just has moving boxes in it. Like it's any old apartment.
Right.
And he finds his way in there, and he finds his way out again through the series of tunnels. He like crawls up this tunnel, this very like cartoony looking cross section, and he emerges in like the back storeroom of a grocery store behind the milk case. And after all that climbing and crawling around, just Andrew Garfield chugging milk from the back of the milk case is one of my favorite images in this film, or any.
Yeah.
And speaking of Hitchcock, Jack and I watched both Psycho and the weird shot-by-shot 90s remake of Psycho back to back for our Christmas celebration. And there's a scene in the original Psycho, in both of them really, where after Marion Crane comes to the inn, Norman Bates offers her sandwiches and milk. Do you want some sandwiches and milk? She's like, no, I'm not hungry, but you can have some. And he just drinks some milk. There's something very funny about an adult man drinking milk.
Yeah, I feel like, especially in movies that often are like, because we go to these stories for a sense of adventure or mystery or some serious drama.
We come to this place for magic.
Yeah, exactly. Our pledge of allegiance to the movies. No, but like it in those scenarios, yeah, you think the grizzled detective would have a whiskey or something harder to take the edge off, right? But then it's just it's like, what's the most ridiculous thing he could drink right now? What if he's just chugging a half gallon of milk?
Vitamin D, baby.
Right? Yep. for D for detective. Vitamin detective. There you go. No, it just, it feels ridiculous. It feels weird. It feels silly. Yes. Because we're expecting him to have something more. It's like, man, you've had you're going through it, dude. Here's some alcohol. Yes. Like let's take the edge off a little bit here. And he's like, nah.
Instead, he has cookies 2%. And milk.
2% on the rocks.
I want to talk about just Andrew Garfield's performance in this movie. He is
absolutely stellar.
He is handsome. He's a good-looking man. He is innately charismatic. I think that does make you, almost against your will, feel maybe a little bit better about Sam than you would in the hands of another actor. But he's got such a specific physicality to him. He moves his body so deliberately and so absurdly in this movie. Like when he's walking along with those 3 girls from the Shooting Stars dating service, and he's going to hop the wall to like get to the songwriter's mansion. Just him pogoing up and down, trying to like climb up on the trash cans to get over the wall. He walks around like he is planking. Just a walking plank. I looked through some Letterboxd reviews for this movie, and one of them just said, half of this movie is just Andrew Garfield hiding behind trees and bushes. This is true. He's just very awkwardly, obviously sneaking around in a lot of spots.
Yeah, and he moves awkwardly. He is lanky. I think the fact that he doesn't have any money, really, even though I guess we don't know how much is in his bank account, so
presumably
don't know, right?
None.
Yeah,
enough movie for a comic book and a milk.
Yeah. Who knows if he paid for that milk? That's the real crime here. Beware the milk stealer, the milk thief. No, but like, yeah, he has no money, so he's probably hungry too through half of this, right?
He's a lost dog.
He is, yeah. And like you mentioned that one scene where he's climbing up the shaft out of the crypt. He's on all fours.
Yeah.
He looks like a dog in that scene there. But yeah, it's just like he's so disheveled. And he's disheveled before he gets into the mysteries too.
He arrives disheveled. He's never sheveled.
Yeah. He's just always kind of a wreck. He's always kind of just sweaty.
Just a light sheen on him at all times.
Yeah, just real oily skin at the very least, right? And he, like, I feel like as he continues, it's not that he gets more disheveled. It's just he gets a more confused look on his face as things go by. If not, like,
he never looks
scared,
confident.
right?
Yeah.
Like I think of the scene where he learns the comic book writer died, and he saw the owl lady for the first time, and he's like speed walking home. On the phone with that box of cereal in his arm, and the dogs are and he's just like scooting along. It's like he's walking so weird, but between that and like the contrast between that and the scene where he's in the bathroom trying to wash off the skunk spray, he's in the tub trying to explain these first bits of the mystery that to his actress friend, who's now in like a sexy maid costume.
Sexy nurse, sexy beer
sexy
garden
nurse.
wench.
Yeah, and he's like he's doing the full on like Charlie Day, like, but it's a mystery, and like you must think this is weird, right? Like he's starting to realize there is some concern. Like, you're concerned for, like, this is not normal, right? I'm onto something here. Like he's really selling that scene, and I feel like he's much more normal in that scene. However, he has a little bit of a lisp in that scene, and I don't think I noticed it in any other. But like earlier on in the film, when he's spending time with Sarah, I don't notice him mention it, or not mention it, but I don't notice the lisp in that scene. But he has a certain way of talking and pronouncing those things when he's in the bathtub that for some reason I noticed in that scene and no other scene. It was just strange, but he's just so crazed, he's so disheveled, he's so confused that it's like I don't put it past him. Like the way I talk and get excited and stumble over my words, I can kind of see or understand how someone might just accidentally mispronounce something and have a slight lisp in the way they say it. But it's just great performances all around.
Sam is so paranoid, but also not concerned enough about his own well-being. He never thinks I'm in over my head, I'm in danger. He never thinks about his own danger or really anything. He's just so determined to like figure out the puzzle, get Sarah, get to the end of it. And he sort of disregards everything else. And we mentioned that he sort of is a dog. He is this weird, lost, gangly puppy of this movie. And another way to look at Beware the Dog Killer is like, are you in danger, Sam? Do you think if you dig far enough into this, somebody could kill you? And just the way he disregards all those messages, it's like he does not care for his own safety. He does not think he could be the next victim of anything.
Yeah, I think that is if not made clear earlier in the film, more so made clear by like the final scenes after he's gone over to topless bird lady's house and slept with her. He's on her balcony smoking, watching his landlord and the security guard go into his house, into his apartment, and watching them be like, where is he? What is this? Why did he paint this? He's not far enough away. He's still in the same apartment complex.
Yeah, he's 30 feet away. Yeah.
The danger is right there. This is the bad thing that's happening to him. He's being evicted for not having a job, not caring about himself. But here he is, finally content, finally happy, finally like, you know what? I don't really care.
Yeah, I'll live with topless bird woman.
Sure. Yeah. And
these birds need a good father figure.
Absolutely. But it's like it's almost the way he was at the start of the movie when he's in the coffee shop looking at the woman cleaning the graffiti off the window. Just doesn't care about it. Like, he's more concerned about his coffee. He's more concerned about the sex that he just had with Bird Lady, right? He just doesn't care. But he's reached like a sort of bliss of like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to change any of this stuff. Like, this is a conspiracy that like me, tiny old me who has no job and now no apartment, maybe is a killer of dogs and has some childhood trauma that he needs to work out. Like, I'm not going to be able to be the one to blow the lid on this conspiracy, right? He's just like, I'm going to live here with topless bird lady, right? Live a good life. So
this movie to me is about the looking closer at iconography and messaging in all levels of pop culture, from songs to movies to print advertisements. Looking closer at the messages and thinking, does this mean what I think it means? Is there something hidden here? Is this thing sinister?
Right.
Looking for the darker meanings in life. But it is a movie that is so full of Easter eggs itself that it seems to also celebrate that's the joy of a puzzle, the love of going deep onto something with that dense of imagery and clues. And Sam lives in an apartment that's filled with all this stuff. Like, he's got those classic Hollywood posters. He's got the Kurt Cobain poster. He's got, when he needs to reference something in a Nintendo Power magazine, he has that Nintendo Power magazine. He's filled with all this like pop cultural ephemera and merchandise and like these physical, the old Playboy. He's hanging on to all of this stuff. And at the end, when you see him watching himself get evicted from his apartment, you wonder, is he not going to get any of that stuff back? And I look at the end of the movie, I'm like, is this progress? Is this character growth that he's like, I don't need any of my stuff anymore?
Right. Yeah.
Does that mean something for him to be divorced of his stuff?
I think that is part of his bliss at the end, right? Seeing these rich people just kind of not, like they want their stuff. Right? They want these three women. They want TV and internet and pizza down in their crib. Like, there's so much importance even in their afterlife to have that stuff. And I think by the end of this movie, he's just kind of like, he's kind of turned off by all of it. Right? Of like, this is so wild. This is so baffling that you would want to do this, that he almost is like, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Like, let me just live I was about to say the weirdest existence you can think of. Let me go live with topless bird lady. But like, that's just kind of it. Like, let me go live in a home that's stable with someone who, I don't know if you could say that he loves her yet. It was just that one night, right? But she seems satisfied the morning after. She seems like she does like him. they're satisfied, they're okay with their situation. They're not God, what were we was it us, or did I listen to something else? Is it in this movie? No, someone was talking, I think, on a podcast I listened to about one of the Ocean's movies, and they forgot which one, so I don't know which one it is. But there's a line in there when they ask, like, if she loves him, if Julia Roberts loves him, and she says something to the effect of, well, he doesn't make me cry. And it's like, at a certain degree, that is some people's, like, I'm in a situation where I'm not hurt, right? I'm safe. I don't feel like I'm at risk of being hurt. Do I love this guy? Maybe not, but it's satisfying, right? Like, I'm happy here and can be. And I think he's in a similar situation right at the end, or wants to be in that situation, if that makes sense.
There's also something to be said about, this is a movie proliferated with young women. The young women are all the ones being taken into the bunkers. They're the ones who are wrapped up in these weird conspiracies. And he chooses to go with the one older woman the one older woman we see in maybe the entirety of the film.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, this is safe for me. Nobody's getting, I've seen all the girls wrapped up in these bunker conspiracies. If somebody was getting her, they would have gotten her already. I'm safe with, like, 50-year-old topless bird lady.
It's also, I think the fact that he goes for her is also, a conversation on, like, at first he's surrounding himself with women who want to be a part of that culture, right? They want to be movie stars, they want to be musicians, they want to be someone, they want to be important. And here's this woman who just doesn't give a fuck, right? She's topless for everyone to see and does not care. It's not like she's out on her balcony, like, covering herself up. When she answers the door to him, she has a shirt on to be a little more presentable, but still it's unbuttons. Like, you can see everything. She just is like, you know what? Fuck it. This is me. I am the weird bird lady. And to be honest, there's something attractive about that. That, like, hey, you have found a track in life that makes you happy. You found something that these other people did not. They're always chasing something, and you're here. You're happy. Right?
While we're talking about, we got to talk about the other topless bird lady, who is that owl woman who will sneak in and kill you. I love her. I love that performer's physicality, walking, like, shoulders back, arms back, like, pelvis forward, like, into every her legs room
out to walk.
Yes.
Yeah, great performance. Who do you think the bird lady was?
I don't know. We don't learn anything about her when she does appear. There's certain times where I'm wondering, is this literally happening?
Disappears at one point.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
We never follow up on that. Who is Owl Woman? You know, and we've got this songwriter character who seems to be like 200 years old.
Yeah.
Is there a series of owl women, or has there always been one owl woman, this other immortal, to balance him out?
Yeah. I just by body type, I figured it was the same, like, short-haired, red-headed actress who's also the call girl. She just had that, like, tall, real skinny, lanky legs. But it's not necessarily her. We don't get to see her up close. We don't get to see.
And it might be
she's just kind of a mystery.
It might be a repeated performer, but not supposed to be a repeated character. I don't know. I just love the iconography of, like, the big owl mask, just, like, nude stilt walking, just this almost awkward walk, like you said, lift leg, put leg down, walk in a room, pelvis first, arms last.
Yeah, absolutely. It also reminded me of Batman Court of Owls, right? The fact that there is this like secret society that wears these owl masks, though in Court of Owls, that is the rich elite of Gotham, that they have this secret history. It's secretly their town. Batman is always like, Gotham is my city, but they're always like, no, it's not. Just reminded me of that stuff, especially as they're getting into all of the like secret societies, the little owl on the dollar bill, the Illuminati, the Eyes Wide Shut kind of party that they go to. That stuff is kind of fascinating. The fact that there is a comic book writer who's also this weird artist who has all of these like facial sculptures of all of these
which is maybe
stuff.
the ultimate example of like being surrounded by unhelpful pop cultural stuff. You go to Patrick Fischler's house and he writes these little indie comics, so you do wonder how he has a house that big, and his walls are covered with these plaster death masks of different celebrities. And he's like, yeah, you get these from like makeup artists or people who are going to make statues of them or whatever. Like they're not made of people who are dead, because like one of them's Johnny Depp, who is alive. Like they're just these frozen, slack, dead appearing ceramic faces that he's got all over his wall, rows and rows.
And then
of
he
them.
has Abe Lincoln.
Right. they're not even all like pop cultural figures or like Hollywood movie star figures. I didn't find a video that went real deep on everybody who's in there. Like he points out, I've got Johnny Depp next to Grace Kelly. They are labeled, but you can't really make out the labels, at least not me, not taking the time to go through it frame by frame at like 200% zoom in.
Yeah.
You go to his house, he's got the secret little cubby room with like the security cameras, because he's like, I think I'm in danger, which should have been a lesson for Sam, that this guy's like, somebody's out to get me, and then he is gotten. And this doesn't really do much for Sam except make him walk faster and steal that box of cereal.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because the story that he's writing is about the dog killer, and he thinks like the recent dog killer was inspired by this old writer or this guy who wanted to be in Hollywood but couldn't make it. And it is another kind of piece of evidence to maybe Sam is the dog killer, because that story parallels his life and some of his reactions to people around him. It seems like he was spurned and was not really accepted by this kind of Hollywood celebrity culture, and now he's down on his luck, and so he's upset and he's mad and he blames, right, like he's now taking it out on these dogs, but he blames women, or he blames who knows what, right? So he's getting his revenge. And it's just strange then that like, why does he take such an interest in this guy's work if he's not really concerned about who the dog killer is in the long run here? It seems like a detour from he ends up learning about the owl lady and stuff like that. It helps him along the journey, but it does kind of seem like a detour of like, aren't you focused on that mystery and not the dog killer here? So why are you paying attention to that? I don't know, but lots of mysteries for sure.
I wish I knew more about how much of that is taken from any real LA history. When I first saw this movie, I recognized that Silver Lake is the name of an area of Los Angeles. It seems like it's a pretty hipstery area, at least based on what I hear from like LA comedy podcasters. As somebody who has lived in the Midwest my whole life, I don't really get out. I've never been to California. And listening to so much LA podcasts where they get into all sorts of like minutia about the city, not just like the Hollywood industry, but like the parking lot at a Ralph's or whatever. It's all the stuff I've never seen that from the big to the little has such an allure for me. I think that also adds a layer to my experience with this movie, that everything seems so enchanting. So I'm like, I've never been here. This does seem like a whole wonderland. Every weird party he goes to is like the party of my dreams. The party that I hear, like when I hear somebody casually mention, like I hear a comedian mention running into another comedian at somebody's pool party in LA. Like, this is what I'm picturing. Like, there is an allure to this for somebody who's not in it, at least for me.
Yeah.
You can see how this was a world that he might want to be part of, but it also feels the way I'm sure I would feel, where I'm like, I am so intimidated by everyone. Why is everybody like 25 years old and so hot? Where do I go? What's my role in all this?
Yeah. Something else that I think was pretty interesting, based off of the YouTube videos that you sent me, which, by the way, I haven't mentioned it, but I'll put the links to those 3 in the description, the podcast.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Description and everything. So you guys can go watch them on your own. But there was one of those videos that was kind of talking about like the production and release of this movie, how it got delayed. Even the director that made this, who I don't know his name off the top of my head. His name is
David Robert Mitchell, who also directed It Follows. And is going to direct a sequel to It Follows soon. That was nice to hear.
Which is also interesting news, considering what I'm about to discuss. They were talking about this film kind of as a response to potentially this director's like finding out that the whole stuff about Harvey Weinstein and the last movie he made, It Follows, was under his company. So he made Weinstein a bunch of money. And then to, hear about all this abuse, to then even, I think also around the same time, what was happening with the sex cult that, what's that one like Nickelodeon star, like, was it Alexis Mack or Alex Mack? Whoever?
Oh no, that's her name's something Allison Mack. She was on Smallville. The Nixium, is that it?
Something like that. Yeah. But like, just like this idea of these sex cults, these big parties, the abuse and stuff that was happening. This almost feels like a response to that, where he then goes and makes this indie film. It seems to be kind of angry and baffled at Hollywood's celebrity culture, the rich elite. It seems to kind of have a negative view towards them and stuff. And I just thought, like, even that level of the kind of meta contextual stuff that's happening around this is interesting. I think there's more to it than that. I think also built into the film, like, I'm not familiar with any of the locations except for the few times that I've seen them in other movies and stuff. Like, I've seen the observatory in a few things. I feel like I've seen that tunnel that they went under in a few things. But I'm not familiar with Silver Lake, but that almost makes me wonder, like, is there an urban legend out there of like something being under that? Like, is there a bunker under that? Is that the urban legend? But then I also feel like I would have heard about that on one of those YouTube videos. That seems fairly obvious if that was the case. It's just, I like that there's so much to dig into that you truly can go as deep as you want with this, or you
Yeah,
can just enjoy it as like, this is a bizarre crime noir mystery. And if that's all you want to read into it, then hopefully you enjoy that, right? So
there's a lot to look at. I think about the band that we see throughout this movie, Jesus and the Brides of Dracula, which is one guy and these three backup singers. And they're one of the artists who have been given one of the songs by the songwriter. And they're like, we'll give you all these millions of dollars and we'll take away your record contract if you don't record it. The song needs to get out there. And he's like, oh, okay. I don't know what this is, but I'll record it if this much is at stake. Sure. I didn't really think about it. And that structure of man and three women is repeated throughout the movie as what the whole conspiracy is about. But I wonder if there's anything actually sinister going on within the band Jesus and the Brides of Dracula. It doesn't seem like that guy has any sort of inappropriate hold over those women. You can extrapolate that just based on what has happened with other sets of characters in the movie. But textually within that group, I'm not so sure. And I'm like, are those characters more of victims, more of cogs in the machine, just as much as Sam and everybody else is? Like, they look like they are something sinister, but are they actually anything sinister? We never get to know them well enough.
It's interesting because, I think one way to look at it would be like, oh, well, obviously he wants to be famous enough that he can then have one of those bunkers and he can be Jesus and have his three brides of Dracula there. But I think you're right. Like, he's not smart enough, or he's not he does not seem like he's in on the thing of like, no, we need to make sure we get famous. That's why we're like, he doesn't seem to be in the know of this stuff, which makes me feel like he's more a tool. And he's in it feels like by proxy he's kind of grooming these women, because the kind of fandom around the band is, oh, one day I can also be a bride of Dracula. There is one woman at one of the parties that says something along those lines of like, that's not how you become a bride of Dracula. So does that mean he cycles the women out, or
we don't know, and we don't know what's like a joke. Like, is he actually sleeping with any of these women, or is this just somebody who saw them in a show once making a joke about it or spreading gossip? And I think about the secret plans and the codes that the actual higher up people in power have in this movie. And then I think about these 20-something hipsters who aren't really related to the mystery, like the girl with the LSD cookies. She is also making this whole like secret codes and everything. Like, I have a secret show and I'm giving you the sacred object and you bring it here. And there's like puzzles to solve and all that. Like, they are also creating all of this around themselves for fun. Like, it doesn't seem like there's anything sinister going on there. Making somebody ingest some LSD in order to get into your show is not a good idea, but that's nowhere near on the level of malevolence that we see anybody else doing in this movie. I think I keep coming back to the double-edged sword of there's harmful subliminal messages, and also puzzles are fun. There's dark conspiracies. And also, isn't it kind of fun that you have to like have a secret password to like get into a cool party?
Yeah. I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but this movie is also a like, just like you said, has all of these double-edged swords, right? There's two sides to every coin. And that's what I was kind of getting at when I said like, maybe by proxy, the leader of that band is a tool to groom these women into being more susceptible and more okay with this afterlife thing here, because of all of these seemingly harmless puzzles and stuff like that. They are influenced to be into that stuff or like it or something like that, which then does read as sinister. And even though they don't know it and they aren't the ones, like the puzzles that they're making up to get into their own shows might not be sinister, but are then still being co-opted and used by people higher up, which is then why all of these actual sinister codes are hidden in things like a video game, a cereal box for children, right? It's just, it's a translucent map that they can draw on. Like, there's nothing sinister about that, but there's just all these double-edged swords here that it's just, yeah, there's so much. I want to ask you this. Having watched those YouTube videos, what was the thing that kind of blew your mind the most of all of these? Because we haven't even mentioned all of the like hidden codes and stuff that are in this. There's so much. But what was the one that like, whoa, I didn't even know that. Like, that's wild.
Ooh. Just like how deep it goes with like looking at every piece of graffiti in the background. And there's stuff that you can see very obviously is a code you could solve. Like when you go to Sarah's apartment, she's got these 3 dolls that are dressed up like it's Marilyn Monroe and Betty Crable and Lauren Bacall. But the 3 stars of the movie, How to Marry a Millionaire, which is what she's going to do. And underneath their names, there are these codes. Like, yes, I can see that is in absolute plain sight. But then you can plug those codes in and it translates to these words and you put that into some geolocation site and that takes you here. Like how many levels deep it is. I think the most sort of intriguing symbol that was pointed out to me in one of these videos was in Sarah's apartment. She's got a poster that's just a plain butterfly, just like the graphic image, like stamp cut out of a butterfly on a plain background. And one of the videos was like, there's a rumored urban legend of Operation Monarch, which breeds women into sex slaves for the elite. And then it points out that even in The Shining, look, there's a poster in the Overlook game room for Monarch. And it's a poster for some like skiing brand. And there's a guy skiing. And I watched the Room 237 documentary where there's a segment that really looks at that one poster. We're like, see how the guy is crouching down on the skis? It almost looks like he is a minotaur. What a minotaur is who you find at the center of a maze. I thought that was funny to look at this one image that seems so deliberate when you do see it in the movie. The heart poster and the butterfly poster do seem like they would mean something. I don't know if that's exactly what was intended, that you're supposed to look at the butterfly and tie that to Project Monarch. But that was an interesting leap to a conclusion.
Yeah, and like that I think is why this movie is making fun of that, of like, let's just fill it with these random symbols and people will find their own meanings in this. Because when they started to talk about Project Monarch, I was like, oh, well, then in that case, the venture burrows is all about grooming young women to be sexist. Like, no,
any monarch
not.
anywhere.
And, right. And like, it was just like, and there's the poster for Monarch in The Shining. I was like, so any movie that uses the word monarch is actually about, like, no, like, stop. This is so dumb.
There are some odd things where, like, at the final, like, title card at the end of the movie is like Under the Silver Lake, and it's designed to look like a roadside stand, like a fast food sign. It says since 1928. Which I think might have been like when
Stanley
Silver Lake was incorporated.
Kubrick's birthday as well.
Yeah. Like that has a meaning within these comics that Patrick Fischler is drawing that are about LA history. Like since 1928 appears earlier in those comics. But then when you see it again at the end of the movie after Andrew Garfield's like doing this Kubrick stare down the camera, watching his apartment get evicted. The video does point out that 1928 is when Stanley Kubrick was born. Which doesn't feel deliberate, but it is still an interesting, nice piece of serendipity.
Yeah. And I think for me, the thing that blew my mind the most was the fireworks.
Yeah.
Not something you would ever think about. The fireworks are Morse code. you like the way you hear the boom, 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 boom is like Morse code for ascend now, which is what the millionaires are trying to do. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, this is so deep. Or even the fact that like you can take the code from like the Morse code on the coffee shop menu, put that in the cipher that he does on the pizza box, and put that into some website that's over here. But you have to look at this one billboard that says E equals EE. So if you substitute like a double E for E, and it's just, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, what? It's kind
what
of
a party
ridiculous.
game this movie is. You could do like throw this movie on at a party for you and your friends, or spend an entire semester doing an independent project diving into this film.
Yes.
At any level, you may approach it.
What was interesting to me is even in the videos that you sent me, this website, the Any 3 Words website, which is, I guess, a real thing, a real geolocation technique to do all of that. The video is plugged into different sets of words, and there was one that got the exact location of Silver Lake by plugging in certain words that were like based off the codes that he found in this movie. And then there was another video that plugged in just immediately plugged in the words that were under the dolls.
Ooh,
and got a different location, but one that still kind of makes sense for the movie. It went to like Sphinx Mountain, which the Sphinx and ancient Egypt, and they have this like thing out in the right. It's just this like almost any code word that you put in here is like it fits in this. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I think the one that amazed me the most was the fireworks.
Out of curiosity, I went to What 3 Words and I tried typing in the St. Louis Gateway Arch, and it is Rose's bonus model. That's the 3-word geographic code model to get to the arch.
Interesting. That's wild. Yeah, there's so much you can dive deep about in this, and we didn't even talk about the songwriter in this at all. We haven't even mentioned him yet.
He's
good lord.
That is one of the most enchanting, haunting throwaway details in this movie. Is that when the girls from the Shooting Stars dating service mentioned going to this party once, they're like, we went to this party at this huge mansion. And we were allowed to go in any room in that mansion and go into any room in any mansion on that block, except for this one. Like, that feels so dreamlike.
Yeah. And then like, even when he hops the fence and is going up the long pathway to get to the mansion, it does look like a painted like set.
Oh yeah,
like it looks like some old like 1920s Hollywood. Like, we don't actually have the landscape to make this an actual thing here. Let's just paint it, and that's what it looks like he's walking into. This like he's like Wile E. Coyoteing himself into this magical painting of this mansion on a hill. It looks so like fake.
And that mansion does look it looks so out of place. And when the girls are talking about how it's just this weird mansion block party in the middle of the night, they're like, we couldn't get up to this one mansion. And I'm like, yeah, because you would have to hike for 20 minutes to get up the driveway and back down.
Right? Absolutely. I know one of the videos that I watched also went into this whole big thing on like dogs versus coyotes and what their habits are like and how different characters represent different things. The songwriter also has a taxidermied coyote in his place. There's so much. Oh God.
When you go to the songwriter's mansion and it seems like it's such a huge space and Sam sneaks in through this large kitchen. That's like the kitchen you've seen in other mansions that have like staff in other movies. Like, yes, this is where all our butlers and maids like cook our dinner. Sam sneaking around. There's not a soul in sight. There is nobody there. That's so unnerving to have this giant space with just one 200-year-old man in it.
Yeah. God, I don't even know. There's so much. There's so much in this, but I had a blast. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, like just like not knowing that half of this stuff was in there, and then watching these videos and then being just like, oh my God, there's a ton in here. So. Yeah, I recommend it. I don't think it'll be for everyone just because of how bizarre it is.
When I checked Letterboxd, the reviews were all very divisive. I can't believe I wasted my time on this versus I've watched it 10 times. It's my favorite movie of the year.
Right. Yeah. So I recommend it, but maybe approach with caution. Beware the dog killer. Right. Well, there you go. Do you have any other kind of final thoughts that you want to mention on that? On Under the Silver Lake?
No, I think I'm good. It's a really wild ride. I do recommend it, truly. A road of nothing but surprises. No normal scenes.
I don't think we have a bingo update for. Well, we do. We do.
What do we got?
We got Treasure Map.
Yeah!
I get to knock one off my
that
thing.
Counts.
You get to knock one off. Yeah, there you go. Let me bring this up on screen so everyone can see.
First time in a long time.
Fill color yellow. Yeah, first time we've gotten to update these in a while. We like to play bingo here on the podcast with all kinds of different entertainment tropes and things you might see in any sort of movie or comic or television show. Melissa is kicking my butt. She only has 2 squares left to fill out. I have a handful
11
of them.
bingos.
Yeah, I don't have as much, but we've kind of been in a not a stalemate because we're not evenly tied, but it has been stale. We've been stuck not being able to mark things off here. So happy that we get to mark off Treasure Map with this one. So there you go. That is our bingo update for this week. Melissa, what would you recommend to people who enjoyed this? What else should they check out?
I think this is a good match with some past review show topics. When I was trying to give you a very basic sense of what this movie was last week, I said the review show things it is most like is Angeline, which we covered earlier this year in episode 246. That is a Peacock limited series that is about this true story. It is a dramatization of this true story where this mysterious blonde pinup woman named Angeline started creating billboards of herself all around LA in the 80s. Like Angeline, like promoting herself, but so mysteriously, like what Angeline? Does she sing? Does she act? What is Angeline?
Yeah.
And she just drives around in her pink Corvette selling Angeline t-shirts out of her trunk. And the show is about this Hollywood Reporter article that really dug into who is Angeline? Where did this woman come from? Who is she really? And it's done in sort of a docudrama style. That's a fascinating story, again, full of LA history tidbits and like weird conspiracy theories, sort of, with the whole city trying to figure out, like, who are you? Why are you here? What do you want? I also named Brand New Cherry Flavor. We covered that in episode 178 of the review show. That is a Netflix limited series. Never heard of them making more of that. Set in the 90s about this film school grad who goes to LA to try and like sell her short film and get the chance to make a feature film out of it. And her producing partner tricks her, abuses her, like betrays her, sells her material to like have another director make the movie. And she's like, I must take revenge. And she goes to this mysterious like witch woman to ask, like, how do I have the ability to curse this man? I want to ruin his life. And as she tries to ruin this man's life, she has all sorts of disastrous side effects to her own life.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
I liked that one a lot. Covered that on episode 178. I don't remember if you mentioned what
I did. I looked up
number that was.
I looked up numbers for this one because another one I thought of just as we were talking, episode 158, the indie movie The Kid Detective. This stars Adam Brody, a similar like floppy brunette haired gangly man. In a similar class as an Andrew Garfield, perhaps, where he plays basically a grown-up Encyclopedia Brown. He was like the dazzling kid detective of this little town where he would solve all these mysteries, big or small. And he had like a little office with like another fifth grader who was his secretary and his receptionist. And one day she is kidnapped and he never solved that one. Yeah. Like he led police down the wrong path. They got the wrong guy. They never found her. And now he's in his 30s. He's washed up. He's still trying to be a detective. Nobody respects him anymore. And this one teenage girl comes to him like, I haven't seen my boyfriend in a couple days. I think something's going on. Will you help me? And he gets the chance to sort of be the kid detective again. And it also winds up being a much bigger and much darker mystery than he would have thought. It's a very, very dark comedy, The Kid Detective, but it's worth seeking out.
Definitely. Definitely.
I had a couple more recommendations.
Go for it.
Did you see Babylon that came out last year?
I did not. I think you mentioned it to me that it is one that I should check out.
It is a buck wild time for all like 3 hours and 9 minutes. It is an intense one. It's an absolute wild party of a movie. But one of its many ingredients is like in the third act, like 2.5 hours into this 3 hour plus movie, Tobey Maguire shows up as just weird guy. And he leads some of the characters to this party that's down in like an underground cave. Huh. So if you want another Spider-Man in another cave underneath Los Angeles, you can watch Babylon.
Interesting. Okay.
For a good neo-noir. I was telling my dad we were watching this movie this week, and he's like, how do you determine when a movie is a neo-noir and when it's just a noir? And has neo-noir been around so long that there's now a thing after neo-noir? What's newer than a neo-noir? Like, I don't know where to draw the lines, Dad.
Sci-fi noir?
But a movie that is from the last handful of years, but is set in the 70s. Another great Los Angeles detective story, The Nice Guys. I just watched this for the first time a couple months ago. I had such a good time. Cool. This is Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe playing these two detectives, bounty hunters who are trying to find this adult film star who went missing, I think, among other people. It's like there's a lot of steps here, a lot of ingredients, and a lot of, but you didn't know I hired you to do this sort of thing. But Ryan Gosling is like, he's recently widowed. He's struggling to take care of his daughter. Also from a Spider-Man movie. It's the new Betty Brant.
Okay, yeah.
Almost all of these have got a Spider-Man alum in them. I did that by mistake. He's drunk all the time.
Wait,
he's
Melissa,
constantly
I'm starting to see a conspiracy here with all of these spider people.
He's constantly like stumbling around and falling over, and he'll pull his gun and he'll shoot it wrong. Like another good bumbling inept neo-noir in the Los Angeles hills. And then I have a documentary, actually. I found this on the streaming platform Mubi. MUBI. I don't know if it's available other places. Check your local library. Maybe Canopy has this.
And then the sequel, Tubi.
It's a documentary called Los Angeles Plays Itself. It's from, I think, the very early 2000s. Like the most recent movie it cites is like from 2002 or something. So it's mostly about movies up through like the 90s. It's a documentary. It's a long one. It's also like 2.5, 3 hours long. It's just this guy narrating the sort of architectural and like geographical history of Los Angeles and how films shot in Los Angeles reflect or represent or misrepresent what LA is really like as a city. Really fascinating, like clips from all sorts of different movies and like historical footage of the area. That's really cool. Nice section on the architecture of villain homes. He's like, why do bad guys and like drug lords always live in this type of movie? Always live in this type of house in this type of area? You know, like this is who really lives here. It's an interesting one. That's also a great, like, throw on it. You can really study it, or it's sort of interesting footage to like have on in the background at a party.
That's cool.
And then finally, if you want another movie featuring alums of different generations of Spider-Man franchises, where they're in a small apartment complex, taking a close look at all the people around you, and you've got a puzzle you have to solve where every person plays a role and there's all these symbols and you don't know what the symbols mean, you can watch M. Night Shyamalan's Lady in the Water.
There you go. Yep.
Had to mention it.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
With that, I am done.
For my recommendations, if you want another good like neo-noir, go check out Rian Johnson's film cannot speak. His film Brick.
Brick's good.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
It's Brick streaming right now. Mostly
set within a high school. And yeah, it is crime noir. It is fast paced. It's bizarre in its own sense, but not bizarre like this movie was bizarre. It is a much more straightforward crime drama. But yeah, it is stellar. Highly recommend that. Go check it out.
Not streaming anywhere, but it is like a $4 rental at a lot of places.
It's worth a watch. Absolutely. And one of my favorite comic book creators, or my favorite manga creators, Naoki Urasawa, has a book called 20th Century Boys. That if you liked Under the Silver Lake, I highly recommend you check this manga out. It is about a guy who, when he was younger, was just kind of a seemingly normal kid, would hang out with his friends. They had a secret hideout. They had special code words, and they would draw their own superheroes, and they came up with a plan to destroy the world when they were kids. And now, as an adult who's just kind of living his life, running a convenience store in the town, starts seeing this symbol that is popping up in graffiti around the town. And at first, he just marks it as weird and strange, but then is starting to remember, no, this is the symbol from when he was a kid with his friends. Why is this symbol popping up? And then a bunch of weird occurrences start happening, and he's starting to remember that this was the plan that they came up with to destroy the world. And so when he brings this up to his friends in the present day, they all like barely remember it. They don't know what he's talking about, but someone is enacting these things to bring about the end of the world, and they can't figure out who it is. And did they tell someone else and they don't remember it? How did this get out? All of that stuff. So if you're into like conspiracies and stuff like that, 20th Century Boys is chef's kiss masterful. Go check it out. Yeah. Speaking of other comics and stuff, there is a comic series by the name of Morning Glories by Nick Spencer, Rodin Esquejo, Joe Eisma. This was published by Image Comics. There's a handful of volumes of this out. I don't believe the story actually finished or wrapped up. But if you were, into the like weird mysteries of this movie, or for example, Lost, and like finding all the Easter eggs where the numbers are in there and what they represent, Morning Glories might be a comic book for you to check out. I would say it's kind of a mix of like a Hunger Games style thing where these kids go to this school and are training for like to be assassins and stuff like that, and it's like the secret history of this school here. So there you go. Do I have anything else? Mysteries, numbers, all that good stuff. I think that's about it for recommendations that I have for this week, right here, right now. But it is also my turn to do the pitches for this next week. Let me see. Let me pull up this third movie. I'm pitching 3 movies. And it is my birthday this next week. I don't think these are really related to my birthday. I just thought I would pitch 3 weird movies, but not weird as in like art house ones. Weird as in like these are just like terrible B movies that should be a lot of fun.
Oh boy.
Let's see. So there we go. Let me pull this up on Wikipedia so I can read the little intro thing. So something else that we haven't really done here on the review show is dinosaurs. So I mean, we've done some kaiju, we've done stuff like that.
We watched the live action Super Mario Brothers movie.
Right, yeah. So 3 dinosaur related B movies or lower tier movies than that.
This is a trick, and you're going to say Velocipaster 3 times.
Pitch number 1 is Velocipaster. This is a 2017 American comedy horror film, written, directed, and edited by Brendan Steer. The plot follows Pastor Doug Jones, who becomes infected by an artifact.
The guy from the Guillermo del Toro movies.
I don't know, who becomes infected by an artifact, resulting in him turning into a velociraptor. When he becomes angry, after screening at the B movie this is accolades for the film here. Yeah, so it is about this Roman Catholic priest who gets infected by this artifact, begins having these weird nightmares where he turns into a velociraptor, and he finds out because he ends up saving this prostitute that no, these aren't nightmares, this is real. You are turning into a velocipaster.
As foretold in the legends.
Yeah. I absolutely love this film. Highly recommend just watching it anyways. It is one of the funniest movies I feel like I've ever seen. It is ridiculous. It's wild. If you like B movies, this is one to watch and check out. It's absolutely worth your time. But the train does not stop there. Pitch number 2 is Tammy and the T-Rex.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah. This is a 1994 American science fiction comedy It says film directed by Stuart Raffil, I believe is the name, and written by both him and Gary Brackett. The film, which stars Terry Kaiser, Ellen Dublin, Denise Richards, Paul Walker, George Pilgrim, and John Franklin, centers around a high school student named Tammy, whose boyfriend Michael has his brain implanted in the body of a robotic Tyrannosaurus Rex by a mad scientist. This is kind of interesting because the way I found out about this movie was because of the video game High on Life, which is one of the first things that this Wikipedia page says. You can watch this movie in its entirety in the video game High on Life, which is made by the creators of Rick and Morty. There is an alien on a couch watching this movie in the game, and you can just sit there and look at the TV screen that he's watching this on and watch the entire movie. It's in there.
Beautiful.
And I remember hearing about that fact and then just kind of putting it out of my mind, especially as all the stuff about the creator of Rick and Morty came out. And my partner, who's also into very cheesy B-movie horror stuff, wanted to watch this one, and it was like halfway through it that I was like, oh, this is that movie. This is the one that's in that video game I played. So yeah, I have now watched this one as well. It is a delight. Melissa, you will love it. It is a blast from start to end. It's also ridiculous. You said you had heard of this one. Have
yes,
you seen this?
I have. I've seen parts of it, and then I watched an episode of Dead Meat about it. I've heard about it on Dead Meat and How Did This Get Made?
Yep. Good stuff. And then pitch number 3 is one that I am not familiar with, but I think is equally baffling. This is Adventures in Dinosaur City. Also known as Dinosaurs the Movie in the United Kingdom. This is a 1991 American science fiction children's film directed by Brett Thompson. The film stars Omari Katz, Sean Hoffman, Tiffany Poston, Rob Sherwood. There's a bunch of names here, but it says 3 teenage friends named Timmy, Mick, and Jamie enjoy watching an animated TV series called Dinosaurs, which features anthropomorphic dinosaurs and cave people. Wanting to watch a VHS tape of the cartoon on a better screen, Timmy, the youngest of the 3, suggests they try watching it on the big TV screen in his parents' laboratory. However, this screen is part of an experimental device designed to open a portal to another dimension. After they put the video tape into the device and turn it on, a vortex sucks the 3 of them into the screen and into the universe in which the show takes place. This movie has all kinds of weird costumes and animatronics and feels just like just a weird early 90s failed child's film, which would be equally weird and baffling, to say the least. So yeah, both Velocipaster and Tammy the T-Rex can be found on Peacock. I think Tammy the T-Rex is also on Tubi if you want to watch it there. Good old Tubi. And then Adventures in Dinosaur City can be found in its entirety on YouTube for free.
Of course.
So yeah, and not from like an official channel, right?
Just uploaded.
Yeah, just uploaded on YouTube.
Adventure by user adventures _ dinosaur _ city 1.
Yep, exactly.
Ooh.
So I think these are gonna be a blast. I hope these are all as fun as I think they will be, as stupid as I think they will be. So yes, Melissa, of these three, Velocipaster, Tammy and the T-Rex, and Adventures in Dinosaur City, what one are we watching next week?
I feel like I might have heard of Adventures in Dinosaur City. That might have been a How Did This Get Made? There might have been How Did This Get Made on all three of these.
Probably.
You've spoken in the past of Velocipaster. You've advocated for that movie. I'll narrow it down and then let you pick. Having seen Velocipaster and Tammy and the T-Rex, I'm between those two. Which of those two would you like to watch, since we'll be recording on your birthday?
Man,
which do you think I ought to see, having seen neither of them? Which is more important to start with?
Man, it's so interesting because Tammy and the T-Rex has a young Paul Walker from the Fast and the Furious. We covered all of those movies here on the review show. We recently just watched The Faculty, which also has what's her name in the Fast and the Furious? Mia
Jordana
Toretto,
Brewster.
right? Yeah, has her in that as a young actress. So that might be a good complement to all of that stuff. But yeah, I have also sung the praises of Velocipaster often on our podcasts.
I've seen clips of Tammy and the T-Rex. You've told me about Velocipaster, but I have trouble imagining it in my mind how all of that is a movie.
I think we have to go with Velocipaster.
I think so, yes.
I
have to see
ridiculous.
How this is.
It is wild. But I cannot recommend it enough. It is a blast. It is hilarious. Great stuff. I'm excited to talk about this film for sure. Let's see. It says blah, blah, blah. The film was also available on Amazon Prime, YouTube, and Roku. A Blu-ray was released in 2019 in September. So there's ways to get this if you want to check it out and support them. It premiered in Portland, Oregon, 2017 after being shown at various film festivals. All sorts of stuff. So I'm excited. We will talk about Velocipaster this next week. It's gonna be a fun one.
I like the arc of this month, going from Ingmar Bergman's Persona all the way down to Velocipaster.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. From like art highly decorated film 101 Ingmar Bergman's Persona to like indie also art house weird film here
Criterion
to,
Collection
another...
to A24 to this.
Yeah. Great stuff. It's gonna be a fun one, but I think that wraps up our podcast for today. So Melissa, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
I have a Letterboxd. I am still exploring the platform and I haven't done much yet, but I intend to do more. You can find me on Letterboxd at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT.
There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on most of the social media places. If you'd like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on most social medias. So yes, please go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out one of our other videos right over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out a ton. But yeah, this has been 178 of the review show.
279.
whatever.